There are a lot of people walking around right now who look completely fine, healthy. You know, nothing's wrong on the outside. But every single day, there are people who look just normal who are out here in this world fighting their own body or their body fighting them. So, I'd like to say hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Christy, and on this channel, we talk about life and everything that happens over 50 and the unexpected, the unplanned, unemployment, all those things. But today, I want to talk about something very emotional, very personal, and it is chronic illness, or some people call it invisible illness. And today, kind of want to give you guys my story. I started, oh gosh, so this started 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. I was in my early 20s, almost 22, and I was having some digestive issues. And, being young, just really didn't think much of it, but my friend's dad talked me into, because it was, pretty disruptive, a bit painful. So he talked me into going to his, he called her his guru. But she was a homeopath style doctor, and well, not a doctor, excuse me, a practitioner. Yeah, they were called. This is 30 years ago, so a lot of this stuff now is like totally mainstream, but 30 years ago was 1990 something, and that was either like the hippie way or yeah, it wasn't a normal thing. So I went to this lady, and she was really great. She explained a lot of things about your body, and she let me know that I was allergic to dairy and that I should stop having dairy. And I thought, okay, well, and she also told me that I had a problem with my, or it could become a problem, she thought, the iliacal valve, which is the valve that moves between your small intestine into your large intestine in the digestive process. It's a small valve that keeps stuff from backing up and going the wrong way. It's just a little one-way valve that opens and closes as things go through. And so she kind of told me how to help manipulate that a little bit to allow comfort at times, but to, basically cut out the dairy. And then she gave me what seemed like at the time like 50,000 supplements, like handfuls of supplements to take to correct the issue and to give my body what they say it was lacking. I was, like I said, not quite 22 years old. This is all fun and dandy, and I'm glad I'm gonna feel better taking all these pills every day, and the cost was outrageously expensive. I was, on a budget. Didn't have the best job in the world. I was still making my way into things, and so it kind of, I followed it as best I could, and it kind of faded away. And and being young, I was out, and a lot of my friends, we drank, so drinking alcohol was a thing that was happening, which is totally horrible for your digestive system. So it wasn't like I was gonna miraculously be well. And I really didn't think a whole lot of it. I just kind of thought it was whatever, kind of kooky. Anyway, the 30s come along, and I had gotten a little overweight. And was getting a little unhappy. And that is when like Atkins diet came out. And a friend of mine, she was all into it. She got me started on it. And it was, basically cutting out all your carbs and things like that, for those of you who've never heard of it. And yeah, it was basically the beginning of keto. So I started that, and I followed it straight to the T, and I lost a lot of weight. In fact, I felt great. And I found that because I was eating more things that I was supposed to be eating. I was still eating things I shouldn't be eating as far as like dairy stuff, but I was feeling much, much better. And overall, I was doing more things, but I was still, especially in my early 30s, still drinking a lot. And so I think that kind of numbs a lot of things that are going on within your body. And if you're just kind of doing it continually, you're young, you're energized. You don't really notice that, oh, is it a hangover? Is it my gut? What is it? So, the 30s went on, and I was all over the place doing all kinds of things. And of course, my eating habits went right back to, crap, basically. So let's see. So in my 40s, I keep looking down here because I did take a couple notes because I don't want to forget to tell you guys things. And, 30 years of crap. So it's a lot to remember. Anyway, so in my 40s, like I said, I had drifted back to eating whatever. But I was working a lot of physical jobs back then too. I was, at that point, I think I was still working in the wine industry for a while. And then I got into a little bit of carpentry and building even. So, I had been keeping up with my physical activities. So I would say in my mid-40s, I went to stay with my dad after my grandmother died. And during that time I really slowed down on my drinking because I was staying with my dad, and we were going through family issues when my grandma passed, and we just, it was just best just to, grieve through it. And during that time, I started a new job, and things were going really well as far as, I wasn't with my husband yet. We had dated before and split off, and at that time I wasn't with him. And during that time, I started noticing this really dull, aching pain in my lower right side of my abdomen. And I kept thinking to myself, well, is it my hip? Is it my back? Is it my gut? I don't know what's going on. It's just really annoying and nagging. And I would say it would come and go. And then it just started staying. It really wasn't going away. So I went out and I found another, I guess you call him a natural healer type person. Very similar to the very first lady I went and saw in my 20s. She kind of went over a lot of things with me. She let me know I was perimenopausal. She let me know that, of course, I was still allergic to dairy and needed to not be eating the dairy. She had me stop eating gluten. And then there was a few other things she had me stop eating, but then we put those back in my diet and they were fine. So now ever since then, I've been 100% gluten-free, which has helped, and which also took out a lot of the drinking. So that helped. And yeah, so moving on, things were doing really well, and I was taking handful after handful, hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month of supplements. And after a while, it just started catching up. This, $600 here, $700 there, and it got to a point where I switched jobs in 2019. That's when I went to work for the county. Worst mistake of my life. Well, I wouldn't say that, but it was a really dumb idea. I wouldn't recommend it. Going from private sector to government, it's too much of a culture shock for me. I'm used to actually working. So, excuse me. So during that time, I started thinking, I need to take care of this. We need to figure out what's going on. I went to some regular doctor, finally got in. And let me just tell you, they went, well, we'll get these tests done. We'll get this test done. So I started getting these tests done. It's costing me thousands of dollars, even with insurance and everything. And they're going, well, your tests are fine. Your tests are fine. But we don't see anything wrong. I don't know what that could be. Maybe you have gas. Here, have some SSRIs. Those will help. If you don't know what SSRIs are, those are antidepressant type medications for something they're prescribing me when they don't even know what the problem is. I was getting really fed up. And then the COVID thing happened, and I went home. Didn't go back to work anymore after that, where I was, so I didn't have any more insurance. And I had to do something, though, about everything that was going wrong with me. I did end up finding a new naturopath doctor, and I didn't know that these doctors had become in existence. And these are actual people who have medical doctor degrees that do not practice medicine in the same way as, say, your doctor at Kaiser. They are much more trained with natural medicine, and tend to know more about herbs and things that are going to actually help you, and diet that's actually going to help you. So I went in with this doctor, and up front it cost me $4,000. Believe me, this wasn't the plan he wanted me on. The plan he wanted me on was going to run closer to $10,000. When I explained my situation to him, he created a new shorter version of the plan for me, tailored to me, which was amazing, and it cost me $4,000 up front, cash. So, I started a new protocol plan with him. Things started changing. I started feeling better. Still, we're not getting really to the root of the problem, but we were changing the diet. We changed the supplements I started getting were different than what I'd had before. A little bit more of the normal kind that I'm used to, but with some stuff I'd never heard of before. In fact, one of the things that he gave me were these meal replacement shakes that we started doing. This is like weeks into it. It was a lot of different steps to it. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I could talk about that for a whole hour, so I'm trying to shorten everything up. But one of the things he did give me were these meal supplement shake things, and they're nothing like I'd ever seen before. And he wanted me taking them like twice a day. And I made up the first one, and let me tell you, it was thick. It was awful. It tastes like dirt. I could barely get it down. But the second one I was supposed to drink that day, I got half of it down. Couldn't do anymore. The next day, first one, I could barely get it out. The second one, I didn't even try. I was like, these are disgusting. And luckily I had a meeting with him right when I first started that part of the protocol. And I straight up asked him, I said, these taste like dirt. Is there dirt in this? And he laughed at me over the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, you are making me drink dirt. This is so disgusting. I said, I can't even drink these. I said, I've had a lot of things that I think have tasted like dirt in my life. You know, some people say like some vegetables and stuff, they taste like dirt. This was actually dirt. I ended up looking into all the little ingredients that it had on the back, and one of them is actually dirt. So yes, I have drank dirt on purpose in my adult life. But needless to say, things were helping and going well, but it was still having issues. So then I started these surgery procedures also in here because of all the constipation and things. I had to have a hemorrhoid surgery done. You have to be in a lot of pain if you're going to get that surgery done, because the recovery is unbelievably the most excruciating pain you could ever deal with, as far as I'm concerned. And it's not just for a day, it's for a few days. So just in case you're having that surgery, you know, it's not fun. But after my surgery, my gut felt great for a few weeks, and then back to the same. So then we started on, looking into more testing and things, and I was about to start going in for more MRIs on my side when I had a little accident and I ruptured my Achilles tendon. Yeah, that doesn't feel very good. I still wouldn't, I would probably have that though before the hemorrhoid surgery again, just so you know. But yeah, the Achilles was not fun, not planned, not anything. It's just I'm a little accident prone, a little clumsy sometimes. Yeah, that's a whole nother story how it happened. But anyway, so I had to have surgery on my Achilles. I had to have the full, reconstruction, put it back together, the little graft in there and all that. Yeah. So I was on crutches, casts, all that whole fun. It was awful. Anyways, finally got through that, but I noticed again, after surgery, my guts felt great. I don't know why. It just felt great. And that would last like that for weeks. And then slowly but surely, here comes that aching, nagging pain that's always there. So, there's a whole lot more to this. I'm just kind of really touching briefly on everything. I mean, I've had doctors look me straight in the face and tell me with a smile like I'm a crazy person, "You're gonna be okay. Like, we know there's nothing wrong with you." Anyway, it's just been a thing, So, yeah. So then after... Let's see, I had the ankle surgery. Yeah, so after that, I decided to have a treatment done on my uterus, which required me to be sedated under anesthesia. So they did the treatment because I was going to be going on vacation. And so it was great. After the treatment was done, I had that several weeks of time where there was no pain. So it was perfect. I was super happy. Got back from vacation and everything. And of course, it started all up again. The pain, because that procedure had nothing to really do with that pain. At least I know that now. At the time, I really wasn't sure. And I don't think my doctors were really all that sure either. So when that procedure didn't work, I ended up having to go back in and have a partial hysterectomy. So I had my uterus removed. And oh my gosh, you guys, I was pain-free after all the healing from that was done for like a year. It went away. It went away. Of course, I'm still, stick with a pretty decent diet. I don't eat a lot of processed foods, things like that. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't eaten gluten or wheat or anything like that for, gosh, it's been 7 years now or more. Yeah, it went away. So in 2024, I was feeling great. And at the end of 2024, somewhere in there, in 2020, it was in the middle of 2024, I think, I lost my job that I was going to be at forever and ever and ever, which has put me back out in the job market. And I was still feeling great. That whole year, I felt great. I took on doing some freelance style contract work, working with a local tribal office here in our area. I took on a couple corporate, remote, temporary jobs. So happy they were temporary. But, everything was fine. I was feeling good. Life was great. Couldn't complain. And then in 2025, I decided to go back to a W-2 corporate job to try rebuilding my my retirement and things, because working for yourself and stuff, you're not really building on those things like you should. At least in my case, I wasn't. So, and I didn't have any healthcare insurance, so I decided to go back to a corporate job. And at first, things were good. And then things started happening there. It was kind of like weird. It's like I had my first review and everything was great. I was doing really well. And then right after that, my supervisor, who had a lot less experience than me and a lot less experience than our team leader, but she was above us. Anyway, gotta love corporate. Anyway, she started just super micromanaging me for whatever reason. I don't know what I did, if I made mistakes and nobody was telling me. And then I found out I did make a mistake on something, but nobody told me. But everybody in the office knew. It's one of those weird situations. So I thought, well, that's really strange. So when I confronted my supervisor asking why, if I had made a mistake, why nobody came and told me I made a mistake, but yet everybody else in my entire department knew that this mistake had been made, and nobody spoke to me about it at all. And it had already been resolved and whatever. I don't think she liked me asking or something. I don't know. Maybe it was intimidating to her that I had heard that they all talked about me behind my back, basically, and all figured it out and fixed it on their own without even including me into the situation so that I won't create the situation again. I don't know what the deal was. I just knew that something changed and I was constantly being micromanaged. If I was a second late, clocking in, it was a constant issue, which made me start to have a little bit of anxiety. And I thought, okay, and I started leaving myself notes to make sure not to forget to clock out, do not clock out 1 second late. It was starting to get a little hectic, and I thought, okay, I've been doing this a long time, this whole work thing. I understand it works, but I also understand that we're human, okay? It was just strange. And once that started and the anxiety started coming on, I started feeling this little pain in my right side. At first, it was nothing. I was trying to ignore it. A few weeks of it, and it started getting a little worse and a little worse. Till I found myself one night sitting up in bed, crying my eyes out. My husband woke up, asked me what was wrong, and I just said, it's back. So, I started seeing another doctor. She was she's a regular doctor, but she's on more of a natural path, even though she's not a natural path doctor. But of course, she doesn't take insurance. So I started seeing her on a kind of like a monthly basis. She had like a monthly program where it's, $150 a month just to see her. But you could have an appointment, almost as often as you need. And her appointments, she scheduled them for a half an hour or an hour. Usually it was an hour, sometimes even more, because she was wonderful. And I loved that she was listening to me, but things weren't really getting resolved there either. And we were trying to get through things, but it came down to I needed to do a bunch of testing, more testing, because the first tests are too old now, and they didn't really get into the certain areas she's trying to look at to see if I have Crohn's disease. I've thought of this for a long time, that this would it is. I've done my own little research, but sometimes when you get on Google and start putting in symptoms, they're like, I'm going to die tomorrow. I should just be calling the morgue and making arrangements. So, I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but yeah. So, as I was going on with that job and feeling all the stuff that was going on with my body and the amplified issues that were going on with the anxiety from the job that were creating even more issues. So it just kind of started piling on and on and on and on and on to the point where I almost exploded and I had to leave that job because it was awful. The situation there was terrible. They wouldn't let me work from home. The bathroom situation was not ideal for issues that I do have sometimes, and having someone there just nitpicking every second, every moment of your life when you don't feel good is just not happening with me. I'm sorry. I have no words for that. Maybe it's because I don't feel good and I'm in pain and I'm grumpy. I don't know, but I don't really care. I'm not going to sit there and be belittled by somebody just because of a job. And that is part of the reason why I'm sitting here unemployed, but whatever. That's how I feel. I've been super stressed out this last week with all these hijackers. So I thought, okay, well, all my symptoms are flaring up right now and I'm not sleeping and I'm super grumpy and super emotional. So now's the best time to have this conversation with y'all and let you guys know. Chronic illness is not fair, and it is not fun, and it is real, and you are not crazy. And I hope everybody out there that feels this, that hears this, I hope you get the help that you need, because this world tries to push us out like there's no place for us. But believe me, we still belong. There is a place here for us. We are part of this world, excuse me, and we are important. And there's people out here that love us. There's people out here that count on us, and we do not fade away. So, with that being said, if you guys can relate to this at all, please give me a like. Let me know I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. That'd be great. And if you want to leave a comment, I would really appreciate your comments. I do look forward to reading them when I get them, and I do try and respond to them. So one of the good things that I did find is I have found something that helps, and you're not going to believe what it is, because I didn't believe it would help either. Olive oil. I know, right? Who says a shot of olive oil? A shot of olive oil isn't good for you. It is. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not, anything. I actually follow a gentleman on YouTube here. His name is Ben Azazi. He has some amazing tips for health and amazing things. And one day I followed on here and he was talking about olive oil and digestion. And, well, I dove in and found all kinds of things about what he was talking about being totally true, totally great. I went out, I did research, I found an olive oil, I tried it, great, amazing, very expensive. I did a little more research, I found another olive oil, half the price, which was great. Tried it, didn't work. Hadn't worked, so I'm now 3 weeks out from taking the olive oil I was originally taking, because I gave the new olive oil a couple weeks before I was like, okay, something's not right here. And then I researched more just on the 2 types of olive oil that I had, and found out that one has a component in it that reduces the inflammation, not just put the nutrients into your gut that it claims to, and the other one did not have that. We can go all over this in another video if you guys are interested, but this has been my helping hand recently. It's been something that's making this bearable for me right now while I am in between insurance and in between doctors and everything else. And you know, like I said, on a super budget, so I can't just go out and schedule MRIs, you know, things like that. So yeah, the olive oils really help. So hopefully my other olive oil I ordered, the original one that was helping me, should hopefully be here today, tomorrow, soon, hopefully. The sooner the better. Anyway, so that is a brief overview of my 30 years of chronic illness, with my gut being sometimes to the point where, you know, don't want to deal with it anymore. I told one of my doctors if he didn't fix it, I was going to cut myself open so that he could, you know, have to look in there anyway. He didn't really think it was funny, but at the time I thought it was pretty funny. And I was pretty serious because it was hurting so bad. But anyway, I just want everybody to know that you're not the only one suffering from this, and you're not the only one whose doctors probably told you you're crazy or anything like that, because yeah, it happens to a lot of us. Anyway, you guys, I am on here and I am enjoying YouTube finally. I think I'm feeling more and more comfortable. I hope you guys are enjoying my content. I also want to extend to you, like I said before, if you guys are interested in doing YouTube, making a channel, starting out, or you already have a channel and you're kind of stuck and don't know what to do, I'm going to put a link in the description box down below for School Common Sense Method with Kevin. He is my YouTube coach. I don't think he really knows how much he's been helping me because I see a lot of his videos, but I don't always have time to interact with him directly. And that's fine because I'm getting the information I need and I know that he's there if I have questions. So if you guys are interested in that, there'll be a section down below with a link you can click to check that out. Also, if you too are suffering from chronic illness or you were a caregiver of someone, then you want to share your story, I will be leaving my email down below and you guys can send me your story. I'm going to collect those stories, and when I do have a collection of stories, I will read them online. If you do not wish to be named and stay anonymous, I will not give out any of your information, and I will not share your guys' emails with anyone. Trust me, I'm not one to share information, personal information. So anyway, I think we've been on here long enough today. I hope you gained some clarity from my story and understand that you're not the only one out here fighting this battle. We are all fighting a battle that people can't see. So be kind to each other, and I'll see you guys soon. You guys have a great day.